public speaking. And my students have to wear a mask when they speak in front of the audience, right? And they tested out doing a plastic insert here,
Right.
so you could see their mouth. But apparently, sometimes it fogs up. And
Well, a lot
so,
of people complain about it with glasses, how it folks.
yeah, exactly. Let me get my phone. Let's see, my coupons. What time is it? Liz, hypertutia. Dylan will be able to come. Did you know that?
Who?
Dylan.
Yeah.
Hypertutia, Dylan won't be able to come to the planning meeting. Oh, Ash just cut his foot, and they had to take him to the vet. Aw. He's such a sweet dog.
This is your meeting whenever you want to start it, or that
I
time.
didn't read through the ordinance, I was ready, didn't change that,
Okay.
zoning out there on, that, because it says, be very careful about downgrading.
Okay, so this is it?
Even though that would have been a better,
Yeah.
maybe than some commercial stuff.
Okay, guys, let's get started. That's okay, so we can finish.
That's horrible.
All right, so I'm calling this work session to order. And so that's the last I'm doing here, and now we can all just discuss. So, Jim, I guess I am going to say something. Thank you for going over this and for choosing, picking out all these things that you think need to be.
Some of them are questions and some of them
Right,
are
right.
suggestions.
Exactly. So, I don't know, is this a good place to start? Do you want to start by going over this?
How do you normally do a work session? What happens?
I was gonna see what questions you guys had since you asked to call this meeting, so,
Well, I sent a list of mine to you today.
okay.
That's this.
I haven't had time to look at it in detail, so if you wanna go through it.
Yeah, let's go through it one step at a time. And he's
I have it right.
Eric, have you seen this?
and he's referenced,
Yes, sir. Okay, well, the
Do
first
you have
one's,
it? Do you have
first
it?
one's moved. That got answered. Some of them were just things that I didn't,
right,
on page 3. The relation,
This in,
the
this in this,
Nope, the last one we had that had all the markup in it, this one.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
I've got so many here.
I know. Adrian, I was just asking, it's talking about relationship to the comprehensive plan, but then it concludes that the town board of commissioners hereby expresses its intent that the ordinance or an amendment can be challenged. Why would we prohibit a challenge? I'm just curious on that one.
Be challenged on the basis of an
Based
alleged
on-
nonconformity.
nonconformity.
So a nonconformity, it's referred to as a legal nonconformity, so it's something that was in place at the time the rule was made, that's basically grandfathered in. So we can't challenge that on that fact. The use or the lot size or the whatever it is can be used the way it is now and not fall under the ordinance requirements because it was already there when the ordinance was adopted.
Okay, if that's the intent, that's fine, I was just curious.
Okay,
And everything related to defining signs in page after page, why did all that come out?
Because the code book has a sign ordinance in it, a separate sign section
It does,
that has all those definitions in it.
That's where it belongs.
but it's not in here.
No, it's in a separate chapter of the code.
But we define everything else from air conditioners to bakeries. Why would we not define signs?
Because they're defined in a separate chapter of the code. They don't allow, they're not, they just shouldn't be in the zoning ordinance.
But they're not related, they're not related to any zoning district itself, so the zoning ordinance is intended to talk about what's
They
permitted and
may
not
be,
permitted.
we may
and
need to.
processes.
What if a property owner wanted to put up a billboard? What
So
zoning would
it
allow
fall
it?
under, it's in a separate chapter of the
Oh, okay,
ordinance.
that deals with all signs.
Yes.
which has a, which has a whole section of definitions.
Okay.
This is the signs ordinance.
And we may need to
And the
combine
zoning
them
ordinance
eventually if we make a
is different.
UDO or something, but right now, they're already in the code book. It's already in there.
Plus, in the zoning ordinance itself, there is no reference to signs.
Right.
So there's no reason to have a definition, you put a definition of brown cow in here, but
What
there's
if
no
you have a-
reference to it.
what if you have a-
In the zoning ordinance.
What if you've got an industrial property and you wanna put up a billboard to make 100,000 a year?
It's covered in the sign word, in the sign chapter of the code.
So so we don't have any special use related to signs.
There's a sign permit requirement, there's standards of.
No.
And I think one of the things that may be a misconception is, the intent is to go through this entire book. And so you can do it incrementally, or you can do it comprehensively. And so we've opted, and just in experience, it's better to break it down into smaller bits and then work through it. And this is the order, this is the sequence that we work through. And you all can
Okay.
inform this prioritization. Because what we are teeing up for next is steep slope and stormwater, because
Right.
stormwater
Right.
is a glaring hole right now.
Right.
But then.
Okay, well, I think you've
zoning
answered my
ordinance
question.
Is not gonna be once and done. This is a
Right.
dynamic document. And you'll go back and look at all these other zoning districts and say, is this still what makes sense? Example of that would be community shopping, 1, 2, and 3. Why?
Right?
There's no designation on our zoning map, why?
Why?
So that's a question that we have. It doesn't make a lot of sense. The one that Adrian removed because nothing is designated that zoning district. And so a lot of this was just to clean things up from this Frankenstein of a code book.
Right.
Okay,
Because it was done bits and pieces here and there, and it's a Frankenstein.
Well, I think you've answered my-
It's impossible to administer.
I think you've answered my question. Signs are all covered in a separate, different part of the code.
In regard to billboards and things, I have a question.
Okay?
Several years ago, they came out with what they called scenic view ordinance. And the purpose of it was to prevent huge billboards like on
Right.
26 South being put up on the interstates. And we discussed it here in Woodfin about doing it here. Weaverville has done it on their section, back when it was there. And at the time, they kept saying, no, we didn't need it. But with the discussion now of future I-26 here going interstate, I think we should think about that and check in to see if it's still enforced or whatever. Because right now, we only have 2 little billboards along our section. The one down here, and of course, they were all put there prior to the incorporation.
Okay.
But I think that's something we need to look into.
So
Because I'd hate to see big billboards.
And that's not addressed anywhere else.
It would just be awful.
The changes that are being recommended through these amendments, don't have anything to do with signs or billboards. We'll get to that at a later time.
Right,
and we can
'cause
talk about that.
That's what I'm seeing is going on here. This is some changes that you've made to neaten it up and whatever, and, if it's done somewhere else, then you eliminate it from here, that kind of thing. But there's another code book. It's
It's not another code book, it is the comprehensive code book.
so this is a portion of the comprehensive
There's
code.
a couple of
Yes.
sections, there's a couple of.
Chapter 1 and 2.
Okay,
Subdivision is one and zoning ordinance, those are the 2 that she's made recommendations.
Okay.
gotcha, okay,
And there's probably 10 or 12 others, housing, outdoor lighting, solid waste, streets and sidewalks, traffic, which in good time we need to get to.
Right.
Flood damage, so there's so much
Okay.
to be done.
Okay.
And it's like eating an elephant, and so we've opted to do it one bite at a time. That wasn't clear, that wasn't because we didn't say that, but sometimes it's
Yeah.
the repetition that helps deliver the message.
I didn't,
Right.
okay, and I didn't know that, so that helps.
yeah, it's just that there's so much of this.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, why is there so much of it?
We worked and worked and worked on signs. Weaverville Highway, the little stretch from New Bridge to the exit,
Right,
used to look like Sign Alley.
We have a very comprehensive sign ordinance.
and that's
It's
why,
all
that's
that.
probably why. Yeah, that's probably why, because you worked on it.
terrible, and big old billboards right in people's yards and.
Right. So why don't you tell us if, just like the sign thing, if it's something that doesn't apply to what we're looking at right now and it's covered somewhere else, just let us know that so we don't have to
Yeah.
talk about it.
We can move on.
Good. Okay,
My
thank
next
you.
item was on page 14, where it's been struck out that no zoning permit should be issued until a water supply, sewage disposal,
Yeah.
and sanitary permit. And it's in another section. Why was that taken out? I'm curious. Some of this is
It was
learning.
redundant. It
Say
was
it again?
redundant. So
'Cause-
5437 says that the zoning administrator shall not issue an application for a zoning compliance permit for any use, building, or purpose proposed for location inside the incorporated municipality without written preliminary approval of the proposed water supply and sewage disposal facilities as required from MSD Woodland Water Sanitary District and appropriate state agencies.
What page is that? Do you know? Are you,
Page 17.
That's explicitly what you're driving at, Jim.
okay, I see it right there. Health Department approval.
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay. I'm good with that. And then Planning and Zoning Board is now going to be known only as the Planning Board, I take it.
Say that again?
No.
See?
Say that again?
He's asking about the planning and zoning
Planning
board
and
just
zoning
being planning
title
and
of
then
it.
having.
Are going to be known as
Board of
Planning
Adjustment.
only?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, right now we have the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustment, and when the boards are split, it'll be the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment. Take out the zoning.
okay, all right, just
Oh,
curious.
okay. I thought it was gonna be planning and zoning.
I mean, that's no change in the role.
No.
These are, I mean, the
It's not a
process is
requirement that it be
outlined.
called one thing or another. It is called the Planning Board in the statutes, so you
Right.
know
Okay.
what it's called.
Do you, now that you bring it up, do you think that it's not misleading, but do you think, in terms of the general public, do you think we should have zoning in a board name somewhere? Do you think that, when people think about planning, they don't necessarily think about, I don't think about zoning. I think about planning for the future, but I don't think about, are we complying with the zoning ordinances? Do you think it should be in a name, in one of the board names?
I've always wanted it to be called Board of Adjustment, and that's what statute calls it.
Oh, yeah,
You
that
can
Board of
call
Adjustment
it
sounds
zoning
fine.
Board of Adjustment, if you like that better.
But is the Board of Adjustment,
Doesn't do rezoning, planning and,
No.
planning does, right?
yeah, planning does it.
But the Board of Adjustment interprets the zoning ordinance, so they're,
And the planning board weighs in on the zoning ordinances. So zoning
We
is
can-
crosses over to both, doesn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
In various aspects. And I think one of the other things there's a couple of positions in town that the board asks, we name it this, we call it this. But in the field of work, like when you're talking to someone else, if you reference something that is more common.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what this may be too. It's helpful for context, when you're talking to others in our line of work too, to reference the same thing.
Right.
right,
But,
right.
but to the point, I don't know if the planning board is 100% common across all, or if there is a little license. I would go with those who are leaders rather than those who are laggards. In that, is that what the kids are calling it these days?
That's, yeah, yeah.
Just
So
planning,
that's kind of-
just
that's kind of
planning?
our answer, but
Okay,
Okay.
don't care.
all right.
And the next one was on page 21, where it makes plain that every proposed amendment, supplement, change, or repeal to this article shall be referred to the planning board for its recommendation or report. Then it says, any development regulation other than a zoning regulation may be referred to the planning board. If it wasn't referred to the planning board, where would it be referred to?
Because the statute requires that all zoning amendments go through the planning board and the board of commissioners.
Okay,
It makes optional any other development ordinance, so stormwater ordinance, steep slope development ordinance, they don't have to go through the planning board.
oh, they don't, okay. They could go straight to the commission.
Okay, gotcha.
But I think our plan would be to do that.
Yeah.
Bring that pass by this
It's,
way.
it's literally the statutory language verbatim.
Okay, I'm good.
While we're on that page 21, 5470, the proceedings, this is probably super minor, but a quorum shall consist of 3 members for the purpose of taking official action. But then it says the alternate member may vote in the absence of a regular member, but his or her presence shall not be counted when establishing quorum. If they're gonna vote, wouldn't that be quorum? Like, wouldn't you have
Can
to
you tell me
have,
where you are?
section 54-70,
The quorum
22.
shall consist of 3 members.
page 21 at the top, kind of section there.
Aren't you on 22?
No,
My page
21.
says 21.
21.
Oh, 21, sorry. You're right, you're right.
You see it, Adrian?
You're right.
5470.
Yeah, you're right.
That needs to come out. I'm glad you brought that up.
It just seemed like it's contradicting itself.
The ordinance that was originally adopted in May had alternates for the planning board,
Right.
but that's not gonna be the case, so I'll just take that out.
Okay.
I'll take a sentence out.
Okay.
That's a good
So
catch.
That would be something that goes to the
Okay,
board
what was that?
commissioners, too, as opposed to.
I don't understand that.
What's that?
That would go to the board commissioners.
What did they change?
And so the sentence you're taking out is the alternate member may vote?
Section 1. so
Yeah, 470. 3 members.
It's over here.
Well, that's not what mine says.
That's not what mine says in 5470.
Mine either. See, mine's different.
5470?
Oh, it's on different, it's in different places.
5470 is page 21.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
That's
It's,
what mine is. The quorum
Yeah.
shall consist of 3
Yeah,
members.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's what mine says.
Different.
Okay, yep.
Jim's is different?
Well, 5470 is in several
I
different
don't think so.
Well, it says all the members.
Okay, I see it.
Got it?
I got it.
Okay.
And my next one was just a little detail on page 29. You know, I know it's old fashioned to
Yeah,
put
I
all
like it.
notices and stuff in the newspaper and zoning maps, but could we add in 54-120 that it's in town hall to look at? You don't want 100 people coming in here to look at a map. If we had it on the town website, could we add that to 54-120?
Actually, we're the only municipality other than Nashville to have it on the county's GIS system, zone districts.
my only fear with that is not everybody has internet service to access it online.
But I think your point, Jim, we intended to do that. We did put it on our website.
You're in a
On
different
the
version.
county's website is the master GIS.
Okay.
Yeah, to have City of Nashville and ours. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but that's not a bad idea.
I mean, the website is great, and I think people, I mean, I don't see the counts, but I'm kind of going to it every day for something, and
People like the website. There's been good response about the
yeah,
website.
yeah, yeah.
We get dozens of calls about it too, so that's why we put it on the counties.
Okay.
And that's where we, it's like realtors now that call frequently, know that we've got the counties, you just go on the Woodfin layer. So
That's why
And
they
maybe we
stopped
just-
calling me.
maybe so, because that's been a few months, okay, you lied.
He's
right?
kidding, he's kidding.
They slow down
You're in a
calling me.
different-
That's what I'm saying. Mine's
Barbara,
entirely different.
you've got a different
Oh,
version.
Adrian,
You need the one from last week. She's got the older version of,
You should have gotten in the agenda packet for last week's meeting.
This is all I've received.
Yeah, but what's in that pile?
comprehensive
this plan has
plan.
everything, y'all, from 1978.
Here's the comprehensive plan. Here's the,
Yeah, we don't need that.
This must be it. This is it right here.
yeah, but what's on my pages and on hers aren't
Talks
mentioned up.
about members of the Planning and Zoning Board, associational.
You want to look on with me?
In terms of how it might affect planning and zoning
This is my
board,
page 29.
how does that work
Okay,
in the realtor
let's see,
stance?
hold on.
And I'm only asking because that's my job,
That's my page 29, too.
like what I just, like this
That's
last
my
week.
page 29.
Yes,
This is my
okay, so I
page-
can still
this is
sit,
my
I just
page
can't vote on
29.
whatever that
Then
stuff
that's
is.
wrong.
That's what came in the packet last week.
No. This is page 29. And she has page 29, looks the same as mine. Jim has a different page 29.
This is the
What's your
document
page
that
29?
came in the packet
It's
last
like
week.
yours, very,
See, I
very
don't have
slim.
this. I told Teresa at the third
Three of
meeting,
us,
I don't have
three of
that.
us have page 29 that looks like this.
And y'all are working with what came in the packet
Yeah.
last week?
See, I don't have that.
Okay.
I don't have that.
You didn't get the one that has this as
I
the
don't
cover
have that
page?
page either, I told
Yeah.
Teresa.
Did you, maybe you made some notes to yourself somewhere that then?
I didn't mess with the document at all, so, okay, well, anyway, Barbara doesn't have either one, or I guess she has the
No,
right
she
one. I
has
have
it.
the wrong one.
She has
Okay.
the right one.
All right.
No, I got it
And
all
I
out.
put height several times. We say it's in a different part of the document. Can't we just say where it is and then, because eventually we're gonna have to have a conversation about height.
Now, what did I do with
I like the way you're saying that, because, yeah, height needs to be addressed.
We say height standards as described elsewhere. Can't we just add the line?
Where does it say that? Does it
Well, it's
say
my page 47, which
Let's
is,
It's a little information that
It's-
it's, Jim.
it's 5450,
And so
section,
Page 47.
it's not in the actual text, I think it's just a note after the section probably. But it would
do you
be-
see where, Eric, do you see what I'm looking at?
I saw it when I was reading through it.
Okay, what page are we on now?
Page
Nine
47.
It's like the very first thing under the general requirement, it's 554, 144.
I was about to say, the first thing on page 40 that refers to height is 54, 144. That's the first part of it in the
Page
document.
40.
Introduces all the zoning
Yeah,
districts.
that's where it starts introducing the zoning district. So that's page 40 on mine, Jim. I'm not sure about yours.
Page 40.
So maybe 41.
Okay.
That's what my 40 looks like.
Yeah, that's what my 40 is.
Okay, cool. So right here is where
Okay, well then,
General requirements for all
seeing it here.
districts. Yeah,
the general requirements for all
all
districts.
my
districts.
printer changed it.
Oh, that's possible.
Because it starts on my page 39 is where it starts describing the zoning districts.
39. No.
This is where it starts with the zoning districts. 39, starts with R43.
So 21.
Well, that one's not a big deal, but if we
Well, it
say,
is kind of a big deal because it's not in your copy at all.
Where'd you get that copy?
it came in the mail.
I don't know, I'm gonna-
When did it come in the mail?
Let me qualify that. There it is right there. That's where that was.
That's the same as this?
It's your page 38. Okay. So building height shall not exceed 35 feet except from the fire department. I can't imagine that that's going to be our only. So if the fire department says we got a ladder that can cover 10 stories, then they can build 10 stories.
But
That's what I'm
the-
struggling with.
But the ordinance that we're recommending also includes building height exceeding 35 feet requiring a special use permit.
Height can't be a use, you said.
I never said it couldn't be a use. I said it's bad practice to use that, a special use permit hearing to determine building height.
Okay. And I
But-
get that.
Well,
But what's gonna happen? That is gonna happen.
I
Because-
still think height should be presented to the board and the fire chief sign off just like water and sewer and all the other utilities.
I think we need to revisit how building height can be exceeded and what the different building heights in each zone are. But we're not gonna do that right now. Right now, we're gonna leave height just as it was for the last 20 years. We're not changing anything about building height. That's my recommendation.
But isn't it gonna come up?
Setbacks or anything
Or
else.
setbacks, or building size, or any of that. That's not gonna be recommended in the amendment.
So any proposal that comes in these days will only be governed by the fire department saying yea or nay.
No. The current ordinance, as it written, requires that somebody that wants to exceed building height get approval from the fire department. And it requires that somebody wants to exceed building height, get a special use permit from the Board of Adjustment.
Right.
Not changing that. I'm not recommending that be changed at this time.
I thought you were. That was in that slideshow and
That
everything?
was the original May
Okay.
ordinance that was adopted, and revisiting the issue
So I don't have to worry about height because it does require a special use permit.
Yes, we're gonna be revisiting
now.
all of this
Okay,
eventually.
okay,
Right now, that's what's gonna require.
that
Okay.
answers my question.
Okay,
Okay, and mine too, because everybody I ask is different. And then I read in the Tribune and different things, and that we've removed it and all that, and
that's your problem.
What's that, reading or the
Don't
Tribune?
read what people write about us.
But-
Don't.
but
Okay,
I understand a lot of our commissioners want it left in too, like it is. So,
all right, well, I'm good, given that reality, I'm good.
Okay. Height.
And the next one was, in Mountain Village, change maximum density to minimum. I'm curious as to why.
Because all development in Mountain Village zoning district, you might have been zoning map in here. All development in Mountain Village zoning district will have to go through the conditional zoning process for approval.
Okay,
So I don't know if you had a chance to look over the conditional zoning.
I've read it, but I don't
as it's written.
understand it all.
But there are detailed requirements that have to be submitted on a site plan to get heard on a conditional zoning approval. So they're gonna have to cover the density, the landscaping, all that stuff. The
Right.
stormwater runoff, building height.
Right, okay,
And so it's a flexibility for the developer, yes, but it's also very open to the public. So there's a lot of ability for feedback from neighbors, from the general public. It gives the Board of Commissioners discretion in the decision they're making. But the developer has to come in with a detailed plan to show the density, to show the setup, to show the all.
then why would we have a maximum or a minimum?
Because the Mountain Village District purpose is for high-density, mixed-use developments.
I understand.
So you don't want to have our max density in the zoning ordinance now is 8 units per acre.
Yes, ma'am, right?
So we started with the max density we already have. Say it has to meet that because that's the purpose of the district. That's where our biggest
Okay.
lots are.
But then we say they also have to maintain a minimum average density of at least 4 units per acre.
I think that's not what it's gonna say. I think the final version, my clean final version of the document made, it took that out.
Okay.
There's typos in this document.
Okay, well, if that's out, I'm good. Yeah. Please take this, I'm just trying to understand. Same thing in Mountain Village. I know we're encouraging buildings to be up against the street, but that's why the city of Asheville's got itself in a crack. You know, Merriman is hopeless. Esther Mannheimer told me, you know, we created this monster ourselves. Are we potentially preventing ourselves from being able to widen certain streets by mandating that Mountain Village, all buildings be on the street and parking in the back? It's just a question.
I can take this one.
Okay.
So design standards like come and go, they ebb and flow. I work for the town of Davidson, which is kind of won awards for land use and planning. And the logic that, as I understand it, is you don't want a sidewalk separating, you don't want a parking lot separating the sidewalk or the road from the building. And so that, if you think about like the Walmart, plan, and so the logic was you put a building close to the sidewalk is more pedestrian friendly. Number one, and so it's a design standard that has had its day. Has it run its course? I don't know, but that's how it was explained to me, is why you do it that way. And indeed, this one, as interpreted by a previous member of this board, the Mountain Village District was intended to produce something like, a Biltmore Park or something like that. Whether you like that or not is not the point, and I don't really care. But that was sort of the intent of that, and so you have more accessibility to a building or a business. At the time, that is what has been in vogue in the world of planning, land use.
Yeah, Staples is a good example in Asheville.
It's
there on Merriman.
it's the best horrible example.
Yeah.
And the city can't do anything about it. She said they've even had wild proposals to take the sidewalk underground and widen the street, but that's gonna cost millions of dollars, relocating utilities, but that's the answer to the question why Merriman hasn't been fixed. They fixed it where they can, but, so that was a curiosity question, and Eric helped answer it, but.
And that's not a definitive answer, that's just what.
I understand.
everyone-
I'd say there are some other, not all everybody's a huge fan of it, but I work on Charlotte Street daily, and the street diet, if you will, on Charlotte Street, where it went from 4 lanes to 3 lanes essentially, with 2 bike lanes on either side,
Right.
has considerably lowered the number of traffic accidents right there at the corner of Chestnut and Charlotte Street, considerably made it a little easier to cross the roads and things like that. So there are options for things like that. However, I do think that it's, we need to keep that in the forefront too, that unfortunately, I told you guys this before we started the meeting, you can't just tell people to stop coming here. And our problem is we live in such an awesome place, and all we do is tell people how awesome our place is, so everybody comes. At some point, we've got to figure out how to all work in harmony and make it best for everybody. But I think there are options to kind of control that, Jim. But I like the question too.
And I don't have a particular street in Woodfin in mind. It's just something I point out to, okay, so maybe just keep that in mind.
Well, we have almost that problem on Weaverville Highway,
Oh, God.
because
How many problems do we have on Weaver?
through the years, they've talked about that, putting a sidewalk along there. I know when we had skate around, Mr. Powers working on sidewalks on Weaverville Highway so the kids wouldn't get killed walking to the skating rink. But
I've sat for 5 full minutes trying to turn left off of Weaverville Highway into something, and maybe that's the first road we'll have to think about. But there's nothing Mountain Village on, is there on Weaverville Highway right now?
State controls that one, though.
That's true.
And the state controls Merriman too, but I know that the town, the city has had dialogue with them
Right.
about doing like complete streets. But one of the difficulties too is that you only have a couple of north-south routes out of
Right.
Asheville. So Merriman's kind of sacred as it is to get people here from here to there. If it's a I live on Merriman.
The accident count on Merriman is just through the roof, they say. It's, so many rear ends from people running into somebody stopping to turn. Okay.
Another thing I worry about with parking lots in the rear or whatever is safety.
Explain that. What do you mean?
Because a parking lot in the back late in the evenings or
Oh.
something, and
Oh, I
then
see.
you've got to walk to the front.
I see what you're saying.
I get concerned about safety.
Sure.
But those are discussions we can have
Yeah.
as people come with proposals to build in Mountain Village, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
good.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
My understanding is that's what Mountain Village is designed to do, is to create discussions to make the community, or to make the development better for the community.
Well, maybe not in its current form, but in the proposed form.
The only thing I worry about Mountain Village is that we be sure we put it where it has good infrastructure and stuff so that we avoid a lot of this controversy.
They'll have to have their site plan, or they'll have to present their plan for utility extension if that's necessary. So all that'll be answered in the conversation.
Okay. The next note I had under, it says height restrictions for the CS2 zone shall be the same as those established for abutting residential zoning districts. And I couldn't find a height restriction for something, I couldn't find where that is.
Yeah, that's the one we just looked at, Jim, that relates to all the zoning districts.
So all height
Maximum, yes, sir.
in all districts.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 35 is in all of
So-
them. When I was reading through, it was
So there
all
won't,
35.
okay, so there isn't a special height restriction for a commercial property abutting a residential zoning district?
No.
Okay, got it, thank you. And Adrian, it's a typo, I caught the word alderman,
Yeah, thank you.
okay. It just, one.
Jumps out.
And then most of the rest, this goes, conditional districts, and I kept thinking of what Eric Edgerton said the other night, his concern. So I need to understand more about conditional districts, and if I'm alone on that, we can do that we might have to take up everybody's time. But I'd like to hear
So,
a quick walkthrough of it.
a conditional district is taking a general rezoning process. If somebody comes in and wants to change their site from CS to light industrial, and a special use permit process, they're coming in with a specific use for a parcel, and they have to meet the standards for that parcel, for that use. It's taking those two processes and combining them into one. So it's a rezoning. So you're amending the map
Okay,
for this parcel to be Mountain Village CS or R43 CS or whatever it is CS. And there are, like I say, strict guidelines that have to be followed, that the developer has to submit to show what his development is gonna be, what it's gonna entail, what the density is gonna be, what the uses are gonna be, all that. But before they go through that process, if the site abuts a residential district, and most if not all of our Mountain Village districts do,
Sure.
they have to have a public information meeting with the neighborhood. So it'd be the same people that would be notified for a rezoning or a special use permit hearing, would be notified of a meeting with the developer only. The town's not gonna be there, the developer has to hold it, they have to have a neighborhood meeting, and they have to present a report of that meeting to start the process with the town. Also, if the traffic counts meet a certain level, per day, they have to do a traffic impact analysis. They have to do that before they submit their site plan with all their information on it. That report and the traffic impact analysis and the site plan are gonna come to staff for review, and then they're gonna be sent to the planning board. Another chance for citizen engagement, another chance for public comment, who's gonna make a recommendation to the board of commissioners. The reason we've written it the way we've written it is because we're trying to clean up approvals in the Mountain Village zoning district, because right now, it's unclear exactly how it needs to work, it's unclear how to apply the standards, it's unclear what you can require the applicant to submit. And so we're trying, and that's again where our biggest mixed-use, high-density developments are gonna be.
Right.
So we put this process on the Mountain Village district and made it optional for other districts. We can revisit that, when we start going through each zoning district and what the uses are, and what the dimensional requirements are and all that. And we can talk about adding this for the trigger to other developments. But this was our first effort at amending the process in the Mountain Village district, because it's not clear now. And so that's why we applied it and made it open, because that's the plan of the Mountain Village district.
So as you're going through the rest of the zoning districts, you'll hit on conditional zoning and how it applies to this one, and build those into the zoning districts and those reviews that come back to this board. And that's how that's going to work, I
Right,
think, is
right.
what the intent is. And don't think that we don't have people knocking on the door about Mountain Village today, who are not seen yet. And so that was why there was a little bit of an impetus, I'm just being honest, about getting this one done now, and jump-starting it, because there was no process. And so what we've seen in recent experience, and I won't name names, is you can just come in, you can just talk about, say, a setback, and not even tell us what you're building. And what kind of bullshit is that?
Yeah, really.
So this at least buttons up that a little bit better, so that tomorrow, when someone brings in a plan for one of these other teal areas here, we may not have the same problem that we may have experienced recently.
And
Go ahead.
the other thing is, there are some uses listed in the Mountain Village district right now that are special use permit, but that's a closed process to the public. You can't accept only those who have standing are able to participate in that process. And so we're trying to open it up so that the public was able to be more involved in these conversations and decisions.
And because you have to have a public meeting, first of all, you can't just say that you had a public meeting, you must demonstrate that you had a public meeting
Right,
ahead
exactly.
of time. So, because we may in recent experience had someone say, well, we had, all the neighbors are in agreement, just for example, because I met with all of them. Well, now you say, well, you must prove it.
Oh, I agree.
And, yeah, so Mountain Village, this is the one that currently is under consideration. There's this, which is not fully developed. This,
That's Crest Mountain.
Crest Mountain, so it's largely developed, but there's an area that's not yet developed. This is totally undeveloped. There's a large section here, this is Altura.
Sure.
So this is largely undeveloped. This is, it's called the Coleman property.
Yes.
Yep, so it's near where you are. And that one is not yet
That's
developed.
Mountain Village up there, the Coleman?
Sorry,
Coleman is Mountain Village?
Mountain Village.
Wow.
And we've had controversy.
I don't know how you,
So,
That's a weird part.
that's a weird one. Okay.
Well, that's what I think. That's why I say we really need to look at where we're putting it, because I don't see it going on out Mount Scenic Highway and Robin Hood Road.
Well, I think what we will see is if you consider that property, then next up, within another week or two, we'll have a draft steep slope ordinance.
Mm.
You know, then you have something a little more concrete, less abstract, less vague. And again, this document may have been fine 10, 20 years ago in providing extra flexibility, inviting investment to Woodfin. It is no longer what needs to be here, in our opinions, and in yours as well.
Do you remember Eric Edgerton's comment that he said the way it's written gives developers, almost gives them a choice? Do you remember that?
The law is written, isn't it, that the developer has to petition it or has to request it. But you can't get from here to there unless you request it. Going through this zoning, rezoning, you can't get approval without requesting it. So I don't think that was maybe I don't know what he intended, but that's the way it's written. And is that,
I don't understand the question.
Eric expressed the other night in the public comment or public hearing, whichever one it was, that the way our conditional district is written is different than Asheville's. And he was pointing out the risk that the way ours is written, that it gives the developer an out of some kind.
I mean, it provides flexibility to the developer, which I was fully aware of, and set it up that way on purpose. I took the way it's written from another ordinance, from another municipality, so just because it's not like Asheville's doesn't mean it's not right. It's just how I thought it would best fit Woodfin for that district, for the types of developments that are gonna be requested in that district. Again, we have a lot of work to do on just the zoning ordinance itself, so we'll revisit how else that could be used and what other triggers we might could find to use. But I was trying to get the Mountain Village district cleaned up as best as I could, so.
What y'all have explained is helpful. You had some input or question?
Yeah, I was just I know we had done it once before, and maybe it was more so because of COVID and it was legal and allowed to do, but because Mountain Village is such the hot spot or kind of troublesome spot, can you not just, again, put a moratorium on it and say, just and I don't know, because this is my 1.5 years in this kind of role, but in order of a moratorium, could you not just do something like a moratorium until we nail that down on just that zoning?
That's tricky. You can't use a moratorium for residential development.
for the purpose of changing ordinances. It's prohibited by law.
Okay,
So,
I don't know enough about it, so that's why
Ask us how we know.
I'm sure. Oh, I know how you know.
For commercial and multifamily.
you can, but it's still tricky,
Or
so.
multifamily is residential.
It's
I was gonna say, but because Mountain Village has multifamily in it, it's considered also a residential district, and that's where you're struggling, right?
I got different legal advice, okay. But I know y'all had specific experience with
It's not that, I just don't think it's a good idea. You have to go through a whole other process to set that up. I feel like if we can just get this on the books, we cleaned it up enough to where we could allow for
I don't disagree with that.
application.
Yeah, I don't
Now,
disagree with that.
again, it was just an honest question about kind of how those work, I guess.
And I'm not gonna say that. There's, the ordinance that you have has had a review from the School of Government. It may not mean a whole lot to you, but that's where all government staff, that's where they look to for interpretation of law. And it's recognized in the state as being the group that does interpret what the law is. And so you put 3 lawyers in a room, you have 3 different opinions.
Exactly.
And I don't know what points he would make, I'm not saying on that, but we've learned from experience, and you probably have too, that's what you'll get. But this has been reviewed, and some comments came back on what Adrian submitted to them, and some changes were as a result of that. But what you have has been approved through the School of Government that it complies with the law and the intent.
Okay.
So that gives us confidence that at least we're not going awry of anything. It may not be a fully formed document yet because we haven't considered the other zoning districts. And so by the end of this, it may look very similar to Asheville, or it may not. But I think to Adrian's point, we've got wolves at the door. That's pejorative, I shouldn't have said that. But we've got to do something. and
Well,
that will help.
we
That
are,
will help.
yeah,
That will help move us in the right direction.
right.
It is a dynamic document. It will always be subject to change. And So,
That's an interesting thing too. I didn't realize that it is a dynamic document. I thought, well, once it's there, and I think most people feel that way.
Yeah.
Once it's written, that's it. You know, we don't change it for another 10, 15 years, you know? But apparently, we can revise it or add and delete
Well,
and.
the first time I got it adopted, I immediately turned around and said, the new planning board was seated, and we started working on community shopping district. We had to halt that and go back and redo all this. So the plan is to continue working on it for the foreseeable future,
Right.
Well, that
once
may-
we get this adopted.
And that may be the answer. My last concern was about mobile homes, and we have some parks in town where the trailers are literally collapsing, they look
Yeah,
horrible.
I like what you wrote there, yeah.
My understanding is, some other municipalities have some ordinance regulations about the age and appearances. Have y'all ever talked about that?
what's in the column section, is it
Manufactured homes,
minimal housing?
there's a minimum housing code that we could,
Yeah, but I'm more, appearance is more,
so we really need to stay away from regulating appearance as, statute, certain uses, you can't regulate appearance, 1 and 2 family, residential dwellings. Cities and towns cannot regulate anything
I
on the
think it's
outside.
Mars Hill perhaps that has an ordinance that mobile homes older than 10 years old have to be refurbished or replaced every 10 years?
I'll have to look at the legalities of that.
Okay, that's my question. And I read in the manufactured home park, but is there any way, and probably now it sounds like isn't the time, but some of these parks just look like, holy hell, we knew, as you know, as well as I do.
We did hire a new code enforcement officer today, so.
Oh,
she's
good.
gonna be
Oh, you
working
did?
she started today.
Okay, good.
And so I'm gonna have her working on things like that too. So we're moving that direction. We're just not
Okay.
quite there yet.
What's her name?
Penny?
Penny? Penny what?
Is there
About
a
two
requirement that they're
conditional
inspected every so often?
That's a good
Not
point
from
too.
our zoning
No.
ordinance.
Because I've been told by certain officials in the town that some of these mobile homes that you step into, it's on the dirt.
That's where
Because the
minimum
flooring
housing
is
code
gone.
would come into play, so.
Yeah.
And that's what Penny's gonna be helping with.
Good.
So.
Yeah,
we'll-
because it's habitable. I mean, are
yeah.
they livable?
Right.
I mean, exactly.
Well, I'm most concerned about that, but particularly the one behind what the chief calls the illegal appliance store. Good God, that looks like something from a back road in
Yeah.
Pick Your
It's
State.
terrible.
Oh, I can name a
It's right
lot
there
of
on
them.
Weaverville Road.
I can name a whole bunch of them.
I hear more questions about that than anything.
Huh, okay. That was a question, and that's the end of my list of,
Okay.
Eric, I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
Then, yeah, so the law says conditional district, conditional zoning districts. Property may be placed in a conditional district only in response to a petition by all owners of the property to be included.
But all
So-
owners.
Only by that. So that's the law. And I would say the conditions that are proposed can be proposed by the owner, can be proposed by the government or other agencies, but you have to agree to it. But it can only be requested by the owner. So that, I mean, that's
Okay.
just putting maybe too fine a point on it. I don't think we disagree with anything he said the other night. But are we there yet? We're not a fully formed
Okay,
code book.
that makes sense. Well, thanks for it's all very helpful to me. That's the end of my list.
When you go to these mobile home parks off of Elmer Road, you know, the patios, and they're placed certain ways instead of every which way in the world, and I don't know why Woodfin can't have the same.
I think, and this is just my perception after being here for so long, that the whole county itself was underzoned for a long time. A lot of things got placed before zoning mattered to people here. So I think people are cleaning it up. Like, you know, I know Woodfin has something against single-wide mobile homes. It has to be a double wide, it has to be permanently attached to the ground, and it has to be real property. You know, if you take one out, you can't just put a new single wide in, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
but we need to revisit that whole ordinance.
Yeah, I know. But, you know, I guess what I'm saying is there are things that have been done to help clean up things that were left unaccounted for over the last 70 years of growth in this area.
And as I've been going door to door in these streets, wow, a lot of what our homes are mobile homes that have been there for a long time.
Oh,
Most
yeah.
of them look good, but I'm surprised as I'm going up sidewalks, like, oh, this is a mobile home. That's
Yep.
Some of them look fantastic.
Yeah, that guy Chris, the guy that had 198 Elk Mountain.
Yeah,
He, the last property he had in Woodfin was off of Parkwood, right back here, and
Yeah,
it
Parkwood.
was a single-wide mobile home. And right before he bought it, somebody had built like a shed-type structure off of either side, so it looked like a triple wide. But he went in and gutted it, so every time he redid a room, he changed the metal studs of the mobile home to 2x4s, and then changed the wall to sheetrock. I mean, granted, it's still always gonna be labeled as a manufactured home, but man, if it didn't look awesome. And it was perfect for a first-time home buyer.
They're affordable, right?
And that may be.
I don't know, it was pretty pricey for a mobile home.
Some can be affordable.
And I'm glad we have a code enforcement because there are 2 homes that are just horrible fire hazards over on 5th and 4th, and the neighbors say they've been complaining for years, so,
Well, we're open for complaints again, so send them our way.
okay. A couple of them are serious. There's people living in one of them that the boards across the doors have been torn off, and I could tell there were people in there, so. And the neighbors are worried somebody's gonna torch it, you know,
Okay.
so, okay. That's it for me, Madam Chair.
I don't have, don't have anything to say. Anybody else have any discussion? So when we meet at the next meeting in November, right, at the next actual meeting, we're going to vote on whether or not to accept this the way it is. So,
Or with amendments.
or with amendments,
and
or,
recommend to the board, either up or down.
right. So does anyone know, does Dylan or Jeff or Teresa have any objections? Because when we meet again, I don't want to have to say, oh, gosh, we can't make a decision one more time.
Well, Teresa's gone, so.
She's gone for sure?
Yeah, she resigned on Thursday.
Oh, she did? You need to find more people.
I know.
Well, and I also I've met people, several people in the last week that told me they applied in the past and never heard back. And a couple of them are very sharp people. Y'all that's,
The last round.
that doesn't
you
sound
interviewed
realistic.
every person.
Yeah, I interviewed every.
I wonder if it was
applicant
before you guys.
Mm,
Because I have a neighbor that wants to apply and I sent her the link the other day.
for
I got.
sure,
Tell them to apply. I don't know what happened, but that's not,
It could have been before you got here.
yeah.
we'll send them our way, because we do.
We
need-
need
That's what I told them. Things have changed. Everything's changed. So apply again, give it a chance.
Okay, yes, please.
Okay,
I'm sure everybody that applies you follow up with in some way, for God's sakes, yeah.
so if we call for a vote, if I call for a vote the next time we meet, is everybody agreed? Well, do you want to accept this? Would you?
I would, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good.
How
I
about
wanted the
you?
time, I wanted to read this whole thing and have some questions answered, so that was my sole reason for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, a lot of it is definitions and, I mean, it almost looks very legal. It looks like it's a legal document. So, there was nothing that I could say at this point in time that I would think I would question.
I don't have any
I
amendments
was
to
really
propose.
concerned about the clarification of height, because I feel like 35 is where it should be.
Okay,
And it
so
should come
should
before
we, is that involved in this right now? Clarification, the
Yeah,
35?
absolutely, it is in there.
So, should we talk about it now, more?
No, it's not changing.
It's not changing.
Yeah, that's the
There's-
one in
there's a
black. She
change.
didn't even change, like, she didn't.
Well, Barbara, what she's saying is, anything over 35, they'll have to apply for a special use permit, which means it'll come to the Board of Adjustment. for-
Right.
For complete analysis,
So-
okay.
So
Okay.
that hasn't been changed.
That's not being
No.
changed, that's
From
gonna
what I
stay.
understand.
No,
Okay,
has not been changed.
so we're good on that.
Also, the units of 8 units per acre.
That is still,
Even with Mountain Village, wasn't it changed from 17 to 8?
That's what it is right now, but with the new ordinance, it'll be a minimum of 8, because that's the purpose of the Mountain Village District, is for those high-density.
a minimum of 8.
That was my question earlier.
So that means it could go higher.
You couldn't go any less than that.
Couldn't go any less, but it could go more. Okay, so it's not a minimum of 8. Got it? I just want to make sure you're clear, and everything's clear before we meet, and we,
It reads a minimum of
discuss
4
this
units
again.
per acre in
Yeah,
Mountain
that's
Village.
not, it's
Okay,
not
you think,
what
that?
it is.
Okay, all right, good.
Yeah.
I'll roll with that. You're good. I'm good. I'll vote to send this to the commissioners personally.
okay, so basically, it's at least 8. Let's forget about minimum, maximum. It's at least 8 units is what's required.
See, I don't want to overbuild. And another thing I didn't like about Mountain Village was a requirement that they leave so much open space. But I feel like they should make it into trails and amenities to help the people, not just leave it in wilderness.
So with conditional zoning. you
In
can
other words,
put
do
those
something with it.
Conditional zoning, you can put those conditions on there if the developer agrees.
Okay, so that would be on a case-by-case basis, right? Depending upon who comes before us and we look it over. Okay, so we're not gonna deal with that here. Is that good? Just wanna make sure you're okay with that. Is there anything else?
Not right off.
Well,
This
you
is we-
think for a second. Is there anything, Jay?
No, I think we covered all my stuff.
Okay.
I mean, as I said in the beginning of my email, this obviously represents a hell of a lot of good work. and
Oh,
My
gosh.
hat's off to you for that. I can't imagine how many hours of this
I can't imagine how you're gonna keep
Yeah,
on
that's trying to
going.
read.
Jeez. Aw.
puppies.
Are those your dogs? 3 of them. Aw. I want to talk about dogs. Okay. Oh, God, I love dogs. Is there, anything else? No?
Yeah,
We're
I'd like
good?
to make a motion to adjourn.
I agree. I just want to make sure that we don't, sit back here at this table again and we go, wait a minute, that wasn't clear or something, okay?
Not for me.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to do
Thank
this.
you very much, guys.
Yeah. This helps.